What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota here. And I love to be able to talk to different journalists and different people of different occupations about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. Her name is Natalie Bencivenga. She is an award winning journalist and she is also a radio host for KDKA. She's also an entrepreneur for X Squared Media as well. And we're going to talk to her about her why into journalism and also get to know her outside of her occupation. She's also worked for the Pittsburgh Post Gazette, which is a publication out in Pittsburgh, where she is currently based now. So without any further ado, I introduce you the wonderful, talented, and the beautiful Natalie. Hello there, Natalie. How we doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing very good. It's wonderful to see your face. You look absolutely lovely today. Just want to
Oh,
start
you're
off.
so kind. Thank you. It's snowing outside, so I felt like a turtleneck was appropriate over here in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
I totally understand. It is 3 degrees over here in Minnesota. So I
Oh, okay. That's rough. Hoodie it
hmm
is.
Yes, right? No question about it. So I wanted to say thank you for coming on to my podcast, Work Hard, Play Hard. And I want to ask you, how was your week going and how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, thank you for asking. Thanksgiving was really nice. I spent a lot of time with the family, and I have a new little niece, so I was in baby heaven, which was really fun. And this week, I mean, I keep writing December 12th all day, even though it's the 11th, so you can tell I'm a little overworked over here.
Mm.
I don't know what day it is, Chris. I don't know what time it is. I'm just like, we're getting through the week. That's what we're doing. So I have to do radio tonight and putting together my show for that, and then one for Saturday. So it's just a little chaotic. Too many jobs, but someday one of them might pay the bills. I don't know.
You know what? Sounds like the life of a journalist
Amen to
almost. You know
that.
what I
I
mean?
know. I know. So
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
How
And I
about
know
you?
you
How's your
doing
week been?
well. My week has been pretty good.
Yeah.
I do substitute teaching on the side. I also work in sales, and I'm also a freelance journalist now. Although I've
Mhm.
had experience working in a few different publications for the past 6, 7 years, as you have working at the Pittsburgh Post Gazette,
Mhm.
that I've seen as well. So you know about that publication life of printing and writing stories,
Oh, yeah.
and being able now to do it freelance, to be able to cover high school, college, and professional, it's great. So it's amazing to do. I kind of wanted to do that a little bit more because
Yeah.
where I'm at right now in Minnesota, I was only covering high school and college. And I
Okay.
like that, but I wanted to
Hmm.
step up a little bit and take a little bit of a chance to start covering pros, further my resume a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to reiterate to you why I wanted to have you on here real quick.
Hmm.
Again, I know you're an award-winning journalist. I know you that does radio at KDKA, if I'm not mistaken. I know that we just touched up on it that you worked at the Pittsburgh Post Gazette.
Hmm.
Um, and I love talking to different journalists about their why.
Mm.
I love talking to journalists to get to know their story because everybody's story is special and unique.
Mhm.
There's no story that's the same joining this industry, and your story is just as special, Natalie, as anyone else's.
Mhm.
And I want to hear it. I definitely want to hear it, and I want to be able to network with wonderful people like that because everybody, like I said, has a different kind of story to do, and I think we don't get the chance to do this enough to where we sit
Yeah,
down and tell our story, right? We're so used to getting the story and telling stories and stuff
that's
like that.
right.
So, I really am thankful, blessed that you came on here today, and I really do appreciate it. And without any further ado, I'm going to get into my first question, which is the same for all of my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast, and that is, what is your why? What is
Mm.
your why of doing what you do? Did you have any role models, inspirations growing up? But what is ultimately your why of getting into journalism?
Yeah, I have always been a believer in the fact that media is probably the most powerful tool to make social change that we have. And I think we've seen that time and time again prove itself true. And so for me, I have a background in social work. I was a social worker before I was a journalist. I believe that journalism is, or at its highest self, could be and should be a form of social work. And
Absolutely.
so I look at storytelling through the lens of equity and the lens of social justice. The three words I like to use when I think of my work as terms of why is I want to inspire, educate, and activate. So I believe in solutions driven journalism. I think it's great to talk about a problem, but a lot of times what ends up happening is people get all worked up because there's a lot of terrible things happening in the world. And journalists, if we're doing our job, we're kind of pointing them out, right? Because we're trying to create a space to say, hey, we don't like this. We need to change it. But a lot of times, what we've seen, especially with corporate driven media, is that they just want to point out the problem and let's just go round and round and round and round and talk about it, but nobody wants to do anything about it, or at least that doesn't become the end goal. And so for me, I want to inspire people with the topic that I pick that I want people to learn more about. I just did something on childhood poverty yesterday for Talk Pittsburgh, which is a news
All
show
that.
here in the city.
Yeah.
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 And so I wanted to get people to talk about what's going on with childhood poverty in Pennsylvania, understand that we had a tax credit under Biden that has since run out that cut childhood poverty by 30%. So I want to educate people on the topic, get them to
Yeah.
understand what's going on. And where policy fails, charity prevails. And then I wanted to activate people to connect with organizations that are filling the void that our government left when they decided we don't want to see children lifted out of poverty. And
Right.
so for me, the work is about creating change in our communities. It's about action steps that we can take because I truly believe some of these issues are so massive and they're so ingrained in our society. It's really easy, like climate change, for example, to say, well, this issue is way too big for me. Even if I recycled everything for the rest of my life, I'm not even going to make a little dent in it. And yeah,
Right.
on some level, you're probably right. But that doesn't mean we should ever give into hopelessness or despair. But instead, what I want us to do is tap into our local community. And I
Mhm.
believe in using journalism as a way to create community that we all desperately need, Chris. I think so many of us feel isolated, which creates a sense of depression and hopelessness, which leads to nihilism and a lack of civic participation. And that's why we don't see as many people come out to vote in ways that they could to help make change, and recognizing that that's just one tool in our toolbox. So
Right.
for me, civic engagement is a huge component to the work that I do. I started in features in lifestyle work. And, while I love talking about the fun things that are going on in the world, for me, where I feel the most useful is talking about our collective humanity and how I am you and you are me. And if we can stop seeing so many things that arbitrarily divide us, celebrate our differences, and use that to strengthen our unity, we can really create a better society for all of us. So that's really the why of what I do, what I do.
No, I love it. I mean, we're off to a great start, Natalie. There's no question about it. No, we really are. No, that's really amazing to
Mm,
have that kind of vision, that heart of wanting to do this. And mind you, anybody who is a journalist has great vision on why they want to do things the way they want to.
mhm,
Yeah, you mentioned the most important component, which to me would evoke change, which is voting.
mhm,
But the best thing to do is to be an advocate. Like people don't know sometimes the why of voting. They don't know what they're voting for or what they're voting about or what's going on. And it's up to us as journalists to give them the 411. And
mhm,
that's really cool that you're able to have that heart about that. We need more journalists like you, no question about it. Because I know for me, my field is sports. And
mhm,
yeah, we love sports. We understand that. But as far as changing our community, getting the
mhm.
right laws, the right people in there in the hierarchy positions to make really smart decisions about our country moving forward. We have to vote and we also have to be informed. So I love
That's right.
your three different whys of why you say what you say. Sure.
Oh, thank you.
Um, you went to the University of Pittsburgh.
Mhm,
So yeah, absolutely, no question. If I'm not mistaken, that's where you still are, in
mhm,
Pittsburgh.
mhm,
Talk to me about were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to the University of Pittsburgh? I'm very fond of that city
mhm.
because I have family there. So
Yeah.
yeah, love
Oh,
Pittsburgh.
that's awesome.
Hmm.
Oh, well, when you're in town, you have to look me up and we'll go get a coffee, catch
I
up in
love
real
that.
life.
I would love that. No question.
Yeah. I didn't it's funny, my career for leading up to college, I was always type A overachiever. I was salutatorian of my class at high school. I should have probably applied to a lot more schools than I did. I really just wanted to go where my friend was going, which is really stupid. I know I mean, looking back on it, I didn't really have this big plan. I knew I wanted to actually study journalism, I thought. Oddly enough, I went to the University of Ohio or excuse me, Ohio University, excuse me. I went to Ohio University for my first semester because they have a great journalism program.
Okay.
And I dropped out of that space for a variety of reasons, but mostly because I did not feel welcomed there.
Mm.
Um, I
Okay.
I had a lot of issues with how do I put this delicately? So I was friends with a lot of people that didn't look like me, and that upset a lot of people in my dorm. And
Okay.
I would have friends that looked like you, Chris, over to my room, and then I was getting a lot of um, harassing and threatening.
Mm. So demeaning messages, a lot of
Yes,
demeaning. Okay.
yes. And it got to a point where I actually felt physically unsafe to be there. And
Sure.
so I decided to leave, and University of Pittsburgh accepted me right away. I kind of needed to just go. I wanted to study somewhere quickly. So I
Hmm.
shifted and I knew I could get into Pitt. And I was just like, you know what, I'll just go to Pitt. And so I know that's not a great reason for how I ended up at Pitt, but that's not where it ended. And the funny thing was, I said to myself, well, I will never be able to make a living as a journalist. So I'm going to be pre-med because my dad was a chiropractor, my mom was a nurse. So I figured, and I was really good in science, really good in school. So I thought, well,
Absolutely.
I'll do that. So I got into medical school and then decided not to go because I really missed being creative. And so I
Journalism,
ended
right?
up going, yeah, so I ended up going out on my own, and have always been a bit of a maverick. And so I always say I came in through the side door of
Oh yeah.
journalism, not through the front door. I
Absolutely.
do not have a background. My background is actually philosophy and biology, is what I studied, and chemistry. And then I got into med school and didn't go. So I always tell people, especially I mentor a lot of younger women in particular, and just young people in general that I love to talk to. And they always say to me, "Oh, I need to have everything figured out." No, you don't. I still don't have everything figured out, and I just turned 40. I mean, I think millennials too, you were mentioning to me before we started that you work a lot of jobs. I work a lot of jobs. I
Yep.
think, unfortunately, our generation is the most educated and the most undervalued. And we're doing too many things just to try to make ends meet, which is a failure of the system, not a failure of any of us or our goals. And so I think it's important that people understand whatever you view success as, there is no straight trajectory. A lot of times it's like, all over the map, and eventually you move in the direction you want to go if you're lucky, and then you take a detour and a side tour and all of that. But I ended up going back to get my master's at Pitt as
Mm.
well, a few years later, and I got my master's in social work. So I ended up getting back into the mental health side of things, and then I found my way into the Post Gazette. But there were a lot of interesting twists and turns along the way, and I was running my own webzine for a while in New York, and I was doing a lot of media up there, which really gave me the bug
Mm.
in my early 20s, and found my way back into it when I turned 30 and got the job, very serendipitously and unexpectedly, at the Post Gazette. And that really changed the whole trajectory of my career. So I've been in media work for 15 years now, and for a solid 10.
I
Yeah.
love it. I do. And see, that's a wonderful, wonderful story. I appreciate your transparency as well, telling me
Mhm.
about it, because dorm life is crazy. I experienced it for a
Yeah.
year. I was like,
Mm.
I'm through. I'm through with that. I'm trying to get the hell out of there. So I went and got my
Yeah.
own place for my final
That's
2 years of undergrad. And then just was working. When you talk about the multiple jobs, yeah, you're right.
hmm
A lot of times when I substitute teach, Natalie, I like to tell my young boys and girls, because I'm close to your age. I'm 37.
hmm
So for me, I tell the high school kids and the college kids that I want you guys to try everything. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what field that you're in. If you're in journalism, that's great. That's something that I love to do, but try everything, right? I want you to be able to see what you love, see what you don't love. This is a vibrant age right now, and you don't have to have everything figured out. You really don't. You just need to be able to have fun,
Yeah.
but learn and try new things because this is the age to do it. It's to do it when you're young. And I
Mhm.
also tell them, last thing before I get to the next question, and that is to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Um, in life, you're gonna have situations where it's not comfort. You're gonna meet people. You're gonna have jobs. You're going to do a lot of different things in life that's not gonna make you comfortable. But you have to find a way to make that uncomfortable situation a comfort for you. I think it
Mhm.
hardens your character. It builds character within inside you, but it also allows you to deal with difficult situations easily in a more mature sense. And I try to tell them that early on because life, there is no manual to this. There's no book to read.
Mm-mm.
This is not a step-by-step thing to where, it's like a recipe where you put
That's
this,
right.
you make it up. You're gonna have to be able to figure some things out, and you're gonna have some tough choices. And
Mhm.
you're gonna have some situations that you just might not know how to deal with right off the bat. But if you allow yourself to think about it and be comfortable being uncomfortable, you can be
Mhm.
able to have a good head on your shoulders and be able to try to make the best decision possible. So that's what I like to tell my kids whenever I do substitute teach.
I love that. And I think that also helps to put into them this idea of self-compassion, which also helps to build empathy for others as well. And
God
I think that's
bless
beautiful. And God knows we
Absolutely.
need some emotionally intelligent children.
Yes, we do. They're next up. They're next up.
It.
That's for
That's
sure.
it. Hmm.
Um, I want to ask you some favorite questions, Natalie, and you just give
Okay.
me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions, okay?
Okay.
So here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Oh, I'm vegan and I love to cook. So lately I've been making this cacio de pepe pasta with like a
Hmm.
cashew sauce. And I've been going to the farmer's market and getting lion's mane mushrooms and searing them like little
Mm.
chickens. And it is oof, it's so good. I just made it for some friends who are not vegan the other night and they loved it.
Yeah, please add me to the friend list. I would love to try that
Done.
sometime when I'm in
Come over for
Pittsburgh.
dinner anytime.
That sounds amazing, Natalie. That really does. I love that. I'm a no, I'm not vegan, but I do respect it, and I love vegetables. By the way, I love
Yes.
it.
Well, I always tell my friends, if you like it, I can veganize it, I promise.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I'm a huge taco person, so steak tacos are
Mm-hmm.
something that I love. Well, I definitely whip those up pretty good. That's for sure.
Nice.
Okay. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Oh, I have been to so many
Yep.
good concerts over the years, excuse me. But one that was surprisingly amazing was Sade. I saw her a few years
Mm.
back in LA, and I kind of just went
Mhm.
on a whim. I was just like, she's here. My partner at the time, he was like, we could go. I was like, all right, why not? She
Mhm.
was fantastic. I still can remember it. And she's not a spring chicken. This wasn't that long ago. This
Mhm.
woman put on such a show and she's just so powerful and sexy and her music is whew, it was an incredible concert. I was not only enjoyed it, but just really taken aback by how good it was.
When you hear Sade's voice, it's
Oh,
unique. It's like none other. It's none other. When you
truly.
know her voice, it's her, and she is
Yes.
amazing. She is so talented. Another, at least one of my favorite concerts that I went to, because I'm a huge R&B person myself.
Hmm.
I loved Alicia Keys.
Oh,
Alicia Keys was one of my favorites, but also Tony Braxton. I thought
oh,
Tony
I
Braxton was
love
amazing.
Tony Braxton.
Definitely one of my favorites, especially her
Oh,
old school stuff with Babyface. Anytime them two linked up, it was amazing. It was a match made in heaven with
I
those two.
love it.
Okay, I'm with you on that. That's what's up. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Oh my goodness. I've traveled to a lot of incredible places. I like to
Mm.
travel. I think you learn a lot about yourself when you go to other places. And I think in particular, it's important to travel because you remember how insignificant you are, but in the best way possible, because this world is huge and there's so many ways to live and they're all valid and they're all beautiful. But my go-to, I mean, Italy. I've been there several times, and if you're having a bad day, just go to Italy and you'll feel better.
Mm,
It's the
mm,
people, it's the people, it's the food, it's the way of being. Um,
I love it.
it's just, I mean, maybe it's because I'm Italian, but honestly, if someone was like, okay, you could only visit one country for the rest of your life, I'd be like, sign me up for Italy. I'm going.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. I'm definitely somebody that has that on the bucket list for sure. I have not been yet, but I love Italian food. It's probably my first favorite, and Mexican would be a close second.
Mhm.
Jamaica would be the place for me.
Nice.
That was my favorite place to go. I
Mm,
now have my passport, Natalie, so I'm going to be traveling to different
good.
places, trying different things. Um, yeah, and I'm actually going to Greece next June.
So excited
Um,
for you.
yes, I
Greece
would
is
definitely.
everything.
So you can kind of give me some pointers. You've been
Oh,
there.
yes. I
Okay.
loved Greece. And you know what's really interesting about Greece is you think things are old here. And then
Hmm.
you go really, I've been to Egypt and you see the pyramids and you're like, "Oh my God, this is
Hmm.
something." But to stand at the foot of the Acropolis, sorry, I can't speak today. Acropolis. Thank you. My brain and my
Right.
mouth are not working, but we knew what I was talking about.
Okay.
To
You're
stand
okay.
there, yeah, to just stand there and think of these philosophers that kind of came up with this idea of democracy at the time. And God knows these men had their faults, no questions. But this was really where a lot of thinking people started, that whole part of the world, the Middle East and Greece and the Mediterranean, this was where a lot of this kind of conversation began. It's really something to stand there at these ruins. You feel an energy, you feel a sense of belonging to just the world. And I find that really powerful. And I will also say the food there is incredible. And it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful place. And I'm so excited you're going to get to enjoy it. And I hope you have a wonderful time.
Thank you, Natalie. I would definitely come back
Yeah.
and tell you all about it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Now I'm a sports person, so this next one's a sports question.
Oh no.
Favorite
Okay.
sport? Favorite sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite
Mhm.
sport you like to attend in person? They could be the same sport.
Okay. I really love tennis and I like hockey. So
Mm,
I grew up playing tennis. My grandmother loved tennis. And so I just love playing tennis. It's fun. It's kind of, you're all over the place, which works for me and my energy. And I'm a physical person, so I enjoy playing sports.
I love
But
it.
yeah, but tennis is really fun. I also love watching tennis. I actually got to go. Do you remember the year that Serena Williams threatened to shove a tennis ball down the lineswoman's throat? It was a real special.
That was a few. That was some years back.
That was some
Yeah.
years back. I was there
Yeah.
live when it happened, and
Oh
I was
wow.
in the stands, and a journalist happened to be sitting right in front of me and turned around and said, "Did she just say what I thought she said?" And I was like, "She did." So that
Wow.
was like so exciting. I went with my girlfriend and we still talk about that. And hockey, I've never played hockey,
Hmm.
but I love watching it probably because it's so violent and insane that we allow people to do this because all they do really is legally just sort of, kick the crap out of each other up and down a rink. But in an organized way. I don't know. For whatever reason, I just love watching hockey live because it's like so adrenaline pumping. And I think that's exactly why and I know this is a podcast, but I'm probably the only person in Pittsburgh that doesn't care for football because to the other side of things, I find football to be so insanely boring to watch, especially when you're live. I had no idea when I went to my first Steelers game many years ago how short the plays are. And then they just stand around and you're just waiting and you're like, I kept saying, I'm like, where's the, like, what are we doing here? And
Right.
so to
Right.
me, it's
Right.
like I can't get through a football game. It's so boring for me. But I do enjoy hockey and uh, swimming, and of course, other things like gymnastics. I mean, watching Simone Biles at the Olympics, that was truly incredible. I love
Sure.
watching swimming. I grew up swimming. My mom was a lifeguard for many years, so I love watching and participating in that kind of stuff. Yeah, I like watching people just push themselves, I think, to do things that others may say that looks really impossible. And sports is a
Absolutely.
good place to remind us of what we can do.
Absolutely. Anytime that I'm there in Pittsburgh, the first thing that I try to inquire about is Kennywood, and I know you know about Kennywood.
Of course.
And then Hershey's Park. I know you know
Mm-hmm.
about that as well. The third thing is I love going to a Pirates game. Anytime
Oh,
in Pittsburgh, PNC Park is definitely one of my favorite parks to go to. No question
yes.
about it. But
Yes.
lastly, Sid the Kid. Sidney Crosby is my favorite NHL player.
Mm.
So I really love watching the Penguins, and in their
Mm-hmm.
heyday when they were winning Stanley Cup, Sid the Kid, there was none better in my
Yeah.
mind. So definitely next time I'm out there, I'm gonna have to see if we can go to a hockey game together or something.
Let's
That'd
do
be great.
it.
That'd be
And my
amazing.
my dad was a huge baseball fan, so I've gone to many Pirates games. So I would definitely go to a Pirates game too.
Yeah, Roberto Clemente. I mean, that's one of
Yeah.
the historic people that played in a Pirates uniform. Willie
Yeah.
Stargell. I mean, I can bore you
Mhm.
half to death with many people, but but yes, I'm a huge sports guy. That's for
That's
sure.
awesome.
This last favorite one is a food. I'm a huge foodie. I
Mm-hmm.
have been to Pittsburgh, but I don't know many good restaurants out there in Pittsburgh. So let me
Mm.
know what is a great place I should go and eat at.
So we have a lot of actually really, really good places. You mentioned you love Italian food, and Pittsburgh actually has quite a few great Italian places. Dish, which is this little hole in the wall in the South Side, run by a family from Italy. The food is incredible. One of my favorite Italian places is Pino's, um, which is another family-owned restaurant in Point Breeze, and they make all their pastas in-house, and they're incredible. We have a wonderful food scene. We have a lot of we've had a lot of incredible chefs come out of the area. One of our restaurants right now, I think it's nominated for a James Beard Award. It's called Apteka. It's a vegan Polish style restaurant. It's
Oh,
pierogies and haluski and borscht and all of that stuff, but with a real incredible modern twist. Um, they have a lot of family from Eastern Europe, and so you can really taste that in the food, and it's all vegan. And then another great place is Fet Fisk, which has also, I think, got some James Beard recognition this past year. It was also put on like one of the 50 restaurants in the country you have to go to, which is right in Bloomfield, and it's like a Norwegian style seafood house, but everybody and their mother I know is going there. And I just highlighted them. I'm working on a series for a station here in the city, and they were one of the spaces that I highlighted, so I can vouch
okay.
for them as well.
All right. I'm definitely gonna check out Dish. No question
Hmm.
about it next time I'm there. For
Yeah.
sure. I got a lot of love for the 412. A lot of love
Yes.
out there for sure.
Oh,
I want to talk to you about your day to day. As you
yeah.
know, as a journalist, especially since I was working in publications, our day to day is never the same. It's
No.
always different. We're always doing something different, covering something different, different stories.
Hmm.
The hours are not business like 8 to 4,
Mm-mm.
9 to 5, which maybe some of our friends like to swipe out and say, I'm done. That's not the life of a journalist.
No.
Typically, when we get off, even if we're off, we're still not off. We're looking at our phone, we're trying to see social media, we're doing videos, all type of things. So tell me, and you do radio as well, which I believe you're
Hmm.
going on 4 hours tonight, 6 to 10.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so tell me about your day to day. And how do you prepare?
Hmm.
Getting ready for your day to day as it might change
Hmm.
by the day.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I mean, it's true. Journalists, we're nebby people, to use a Pittsburgh term. We're nosy. And you're right. Even when I'm not technically working, I feel like I'm always working because I'm always looking for the next thing I want to talk about.
Correct.
Um, for my work, so I run two companies. One is Bency Productions, which houses all of my media projects. And then the other one I co-own with my partner, Sarah Bachnick, called X Squared Media, which is a digital media marketing and consulting company. So I'm balancing throughout any day clients with the consulting work, helping them with their social media, their PR, their brand building strategies, helping them create and produce podcasts, web series, whatever. Um, I'm working with all of those clients, and then I'm working with all of my media projects. So on any day, I will say this, Chris, I prioritize rest, I prioritize working out, and I prioritize eating healthy meals. And the reason I say all of that is if you don't, your stress level is already high in this industry. In particular, the work that I do being so political, It
Right.
takes it up a notch a lot of days. And so if I don't counterbalance all of that with things that support me in a physical and mental and spiritual space, I would have
Right.
crashed and burned 10 times over by now. So it's important for me to have boundaries on my day. So I usually, unless there's a real reason not to, like if I'm on call for a radio segment, or I'm doing some kind of TV thing, I try not to start work until 8:30 in the morning. And tonight's an exception. I won't get home until probably close to 11. So today is a very long day because I started around 8 o'clock this morning. But on most days, I try to stop work by 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. And I don't mean I'm working 12 hours every day, but in terms of what you were saying, like looking at my phone, posting videos, posting on social media, all of that feeds into this work. I have to give myself a hard stop there. I don't answer emails, for example, after 7:30, 8 o'clock, because if I don't set a boundary with clients or people that are inquiring as to my work, then people will email you at 1 in the morning and expect you to respond at 1:01, right?
Well, yes.
So, yeah, so I have found that when you work for yourself, people say, oh, you must have so much freedom, and you do, but only if you create the scenario in which you are putting up boundaries.
Yeah.
So on an average day, I'm very, very organized. I have to be. So I have a physical planner, and then I also have my Google Calendar where I sync everything, and I sit down every Monday morning and I just go through my week and I figure out how much time do I need to allot for the different things I'm going to be doing, how many changes have been made in the past 24 hours as people email me and update what they're going to do and what they need from me. And then I take inquiries from people like yourself who want to connect and try to fit those in the future. So it's an ever changing landscape, but what's exciting about it is the media world right now really is like the Wild West. And I say that
Well,
because there's really no rules. There's a lot of bad actors out there, but there's also a lot of opportunity to create a space that you aren't seeing in other places.
right.
And I like to think big, and I want to have a huge national platform at some point to really help create the change that I want to see in the world. And through media, I know we can be those catalysts to encourage other people to take up a cause and run with it. And so I don't mind working a lot to reach these goals, but I do find myself reassessing my goals every 6 months to
Absolutely.
make sure the things I'm doing are actually supporting those goals. Because I used to just say yes to everybody, and I learned
Yeah.
that's a great way to burn out and spin your wheels. And
Without question. Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm learning to be more particular with my time, and that I can say no, and that is a complete sentence.
Yeah, and that's a great way to explain that, Natalie. It really is.
Hmm.
Because mental health is very important.
Yeah.
Work-life balance is very important. A lot of people that graduate, from college or does internships, sometimes they just
Mhm.
want to be on air broadcast. They think it's the glitz and glamour. They get a misconception
Mm.
of what things really
Yeah.
are, right? They see you or hear you on radio or hear you in front of the camera, see this beautiful lady giving us the 411 about
Mhm.
all different topics that's going on in the world, trying to be informative, but they don't understand, Natalie, what you do behind the scenes to get prepared for that. There's a lot of prep that goes into it. There's a lot of stuff that you do. You don't just cut on the camera and start talking,
Right.
or cut the radio on and start talking. And that's the
Mhm.
reason why I do this podcast, is because I want people to see the A side, which is what they see on TV or hear on the
Mhm.
radio. We love doing that. And it's a wonderful thing to do, but you got to know the B side as well, which is the behind
Mhm.
the scenes. And also, this is an industry where you may miss holidays with your family. You
Mhm.
have to work longer hours. You may get
Yep.
assignments that you don't like, depending on the station that you go. It may not be the
That's right.
best assignments for you. But if that is something that you want to do and you just want to do it with all 100% of your heart, I encourage it, please, because this is the profession that I truly love. I don't feel like I'm built to do anything else, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. I don't think I can live life and not have some kind of journalistic thing going on in my life. That's just me.
Yeah. Mm,
Um,
I feel
but there's
that.
cer- but there's certain people that get into this business and they kind of falter out, and that's okay too.
Mhm.
Can't, for lack of a better term, Natalie, you can't half-ass this. You
No.
have to be able to dive in 100%, and that's one thing I try to advocate to a lot of people that's interested in this business.
Absolutely. And I think you also have to have a really thick skin. And I always tell people, especially young people that talk to me about wanting to be, oh, I want to do what you do. And it's like, well, you don't maybe want to jump in right to this. Maybe work
Right.
your way up to this because I get a performance review every single day by the public, right? In my DMs, in my email, in my inboxes, everywhere. On the air, people will tell me exactly what they think of me for better or for worse. And
Yep.
what I've learned is two things when you're looking at this work. Once I let it out into the world, once I post that video or send that radio show and it's completed, or finish that podcast or that digital series, that's not that no longer belongs to me. That
Right.
belongs to whoever ingests it and how they interpret it and what they take away from it. And so you have to put up that wall because people will think that they know you, or they think that they'll think that they know you. And what you have to remember is I'm good at taking constructive criticism from the people in my life that I trust, from my
Right.
mentors, and from the people I love. But other than that, it's noise. And you have to recognize that people are just going to say what they want to say. And if you internalize every single thing that people say to you, good or bad, because that can also be the flip side of it. You can get a lot of praise sometimes, and that can really inflate your ego. And then you get hit in the face with a really nasty comment, and now you're shattered. But if you
Right.
hold both with the same weight, it's a lot easier to create a space for yourself because while you may think you know me from a 90-second video that you've watched on my Instagram about a topic, that's
Right.
not who I am, right? That's what I
Right.
do.
Hmm.
And so I always tell young people, make sure you have built yourself a robust life outside
Hmm.
of this work, because at the end of the day, this is what I do, but that's not who I am. And it's important to
Absolutely.
create that psychic differentiation.
Love that. Love that you said about thick skin, because
Hmm.
and also be able to depict what
Yeah,
is, criticism, like constructive criticism, and then what is something that's out of bounds.
right,
Because there are
right.
some times where people may say some things out of bounds that you may feel, and if you have to question it, then that might
Yeah,
be something like, okay, that might be a little bit out of bounds. Because constructive
yeah,
criticism, everybody should be able to take, because we all want to get better. We all
yes,
want to do better things, and the real ones that are in your corner are going to want to see you succeed even further than what they probably are succeeding. The ones that give you
that's right.
criticism, but I know I was in a situation prior to me getting to this next question,
Hmm.
where I had to step away because I
Hmm.
thought that the criticism was something that was out of bounds.
Hmm.
I was called below average, Natalie, as a
Hmm.
reporter, as a journalist. Now,
Oh,
mind you, I don't mind you saying stuff like that as far as below average. Okay, listen. That's your opinion. That's what you do. Cool.
hmm.
Okay. But my next question, Natalie, was
Yeah.
how do I get better as a reporter? What are things that I
Hmm.
should do to get better as a reporter to not be below average?
Hmm.
So the
Well,
response that I got was, we don't have the necessary tools to help you. And when I heard that, I knew it was time for a pivot because
well, that's
hierarchy should be
coded
there.
language.
It is.
That's just they're just being racist. I mean, that's what that is. I'll say it. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I had something similar happen to me once, obviously for gender, where I was
Mhm.
told, "We don't have a place for you. We don't
Right.
know where you'd fit in." Well, what do I
Right.
do with that, right? What do you do with you're just below average and we don't have the tools? Well, what kind of tools are we talking about? I mean, you know what I mean? So to me,
Exactly.
that's
Yep.
just some coded racist nonsense. And I'm glad that you recognize that that was not of you. That
Oh
said
yeah.
everything about them, and that
Yep.
you walked away from that toxic relationship. And I am very sorry that you had to experience that. Because
Thank you. I appreciate it.
of course, I think that's disgusting. And this is exactly why so many of us have left legacy spaces and are striking out on our own, or trying to create spaces that feel a lot less hostile and a lot more welcoming,
Right.
because we recognize, we are in this together, and having diverse perspectives covering different topics enriches the narrative. It creates a sense of community within the narrative. Um, I often say, it's not so much who is in the story, but who isn't in the
Right.
story, right? And so for that to have happened to you, I wish I could tell you I'd never heard any of my, black or brown friends tell me those things, but God knows I have a laundry list of things that they've shared that are very similar as journalists in many different
Absolutely.
types of fields. So unfortunately, you're not alone in that experience. But what I find really fascinating about that too is, in my mind, what that means is you were pushing buttons or asking questions or looking at a topic in a way that it hadn't necessarily been looked at
Addressed.
before, right?
Hmm.
Either consciously
Hmm.
or unconsciously, just because of we bring our own lived experiences with us to everything that we do. And your experience, let shed a light on this angle of this topic. And the people who are still gatekeepers or are in positions of authority don't really want to always move the needle forward. And
Not at all. You're right.
yeah, and that's unfortunate because they're missing out on getting inspired, getting educated, and getting activated into making change. And once again, we go back to the tools of this trade can be used to save our democracy. And so I applaud you, my friend, because that just means you were doing something right.
No question. I appreciate that, Nat. I do.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
It's definitely, to me, it was just a no brainer after
Mm.
hearing that, because I know good conversation, and that's not good conversation to be
No.
having at all. But like I said, in order to, and that conversation actually stemmed from me going in there on a very professional level and saying that I felt like at the time frame of me working, I felt like that I have outweighed what you were paying me. And
Mm.
and I felt
Mm.
like that. I felt like
Sure.
you're giving me more responsibility because you're trusting me more, and that's totally fine. You've seen the results, you've seen the uptick of subscriptions, you've seen all this. I'm not asking for the Brinks truck, but I am asking for a little bit of increase. And again, I went in there professionally. That's what I got.
Sure.
Nonetheless, I decided to pivot, and I was like, okay, this is the best decision I've made. So
Mm.
I loved doing what I'm doing now on the freelance tip, and being able to do my other things too, because it wouldn't have led me to substitute teaching and being
Yeah.
around the kids as well, and also getting my master's, which I complete in 2025 of May.
That's
So,
fantastic. What area are you getting your master's in?
professional writing.
That's
Hmm.
fantastic.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
yeah, I also understand how hard it is to make the decision that you made to walk away from something stable, even if it was toxic, because that's how I ended up having to leave the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It was under duress. I got verbally accosted by a manager when I went in to ask for bereavement support after my dad and my grandmother died.
I'm
And I
sorry.
was met with brutality and hostility. And it was the first time I had ever left a job without a plan, but I knew I could not be and I would not be abused by anyone, let alone an employer. And since then, the Post Gazette has gone on strike and is engaged in one of the longest, excuse me, the longest strike in the history of this country. It's going on 2 years now. And so,
Yes.
yeah, I've been a very pro-union supporter while I was there. And after I left, I was one of the few people that was willing to speak out about management. And I said, sign me up for that. And the reality is nothing changes unless we change it. And the truth be told, what you did in your own way is a protest because you just said, I'm not going to assist you in upholding this system of white supremacy. I'm going to stand out on my own and do it my way. And for that, I truly applaud you in your decision. And I know it wasn't easy because it's hard to walk away from a stable paycheck. And so good for you. And I know things will continue to work the way that they're supposed to in your favor.
Absolutely. And you know what? Lastly, I'll say this before I get to my our interaction game. I was the only African American ever hired at this publication ever in the history.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I took that because I wanted to make a difference in the community, and I want to show young kids of, especially of color, that doesn't
Oh,
matter where you are, it doesn't matter what small city you are, you can make a difference with the stories that you bring to the table. That was
oh,
my whole thought process of being able to get the reps, because I knew I was going to have a lot of reps, but I wanted to show kids of all ethnicities, especially
oh.
black ones like myself, you can do this. No, don't let area affect what you love to do. If this is your love and this is your passion, do it. And don't let uncomfortableness or it's not being a whole lot of people that look like you. Don't let that affect you. Again, be comfortable being uncomfortable, and turn that. And that's what I wanted to do. And I think I
Hmm.
did. I think I've done that because there's a lot of kids that I've covered here, college wise, high school wise, that still keep in touch with me. So, and I love that for the mentorship that I do, that I've had with them. Um,
That's awesome, Chris.
thank you,
Way to
baby.
break down those walls and, create a new space for the next people, making it that much easier for the next ones to come through.
Absolutely, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
Without any further ado, though, I want
Okay.
to get into our interaction game called This or That.
Okay.
So what this is I throw some things at you, and you get to choose this or that. I do it with all my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. So Natalie, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. So the first question is always the same. Okay, which place? And I'm gonna say pasta place. Which pasta place would you rather go to? Would you rather go to your local like dish place there in Pittsburgh, or would you rather go to a chain restaurant like Olive Garden?
Local, always.
Okay, I like that. I like that. These next five have to do with music concerts that you rather attend.
Ooh,
So here we go. The
okay.
first music concert here. Which music concert would you rather go to, Brandy or Monica?
Monica.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that. Okay. Which music concert would you rather go to, Chris Brown or Usher?
Ooh. Usher.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I like that. Which music concert would you rather see in person, Natalie? Boys the Men or New Edition?
Oh, Boys to Men.
Okay, I'm with you on
Without a
that.
doubt.
Absolutely. They're Pennsylvania too, so I understand. I
Mhm.
get it. Okay, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go see, Mariah Carey or Janet Jackson?
Janet Jackson.
Mm,
I feel like she'll be a better performer overall.
I feel that. She
Mhm.
definitely would. No question
Yeah.
about it. I
Yeah.
would love to go see Janet too, no doubt.
Janet is still one of my favorite albums ever. Just
Oh,
ever.
Janet, was
Just
that the
Janet.
Velvet? Just Janet,
The one
right?
with remember with the curly hair and she has her hands like this on the cover.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
it was
That's
classic.
the I Get So Lonely, right? I Get So
Mhm.
Lonely on that album, right?
No, I think that's the Velvet Rope. Janet is If, Again,
That's
all
right.
of those like,
That's right.
yeah, New
Mhm.
Agenda, like all, oh, so good.
Yes, that was
It
good.
still
That's her
holds
with
up.
the
I was literally listening to it last week and I was like, this album is still good.
it's very good. I love me some Janet.
Oh, I know.
Velvet Rope is probably my favorite, but
So
that's a
good.
Janet's a close
So
second
good.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Last one of the music. Which music artist would you rather listen to? Would you rather listen to Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Oh, Kendrick.
Girl, you and I gonna be real good. I'm gonna tell you that. You got some good music taste. You and I gonna be good. I like that. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Which sport would you rather play? Would you rather play badminton or bowling?
Oh, they're both fun. Badminton.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Are you
because you're
good at
moving
badminton?
constantly. It's got that tennis vibe to it, so
Okay, okay. I got
I think
you.
it's
I
kind
got
of
you. I love
fun.
me some badminton too. I really do.
Yeah.
So, okay. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or football?
Basketball. I love watching basketball.
Okay.
Mhm.
Basketball is my favorite sport now.
Oh, I loved playing it growing up too. I'm only 5'4" and I was the center in my girls'
Oh,
grade school team,
okay.
so you can tell how little we all were.
I got you. I got you. Well,
But
listen,
I love basketball. I love it. Hmm.
I'm not like super tall, but I'm about 5'11".
Okay,
So
a lot
yeah,
taller
so,
than me.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Yes, for sure. Okay. Do you like desserts?
I do.
Okay, so
I do.
what I'm gonna do here, Natalie, is name four different categories of desserts.
Okay.
You have to choose one of these that you'll never eat again. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. The first one up is ice cream. The next one is cookies.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is cake/pies.
Hmm.
And the last one is candy. Which one are you eating that you'll never eat again?
Out of the four of those, candy.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. I would have picked candy too, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah. Because I'd rather actually just eat a dessert instead of nibble on candy. Come on.
I love it. What's your favorite ice cream?
Oh, Ben and Jerry's makes a really good vegan line, but right now there's a local line called Millie's. If you come to Pittsburgh, you got to go to Millie's, and they
Really?
have and I don't even like mint chocolate chip, but this mint chocolate chip, this vegan mint chocolate chip is like the most delicious ice cream. So probably between that and Jenny's ice cream makes a vegan cold brew coffee ice cream with like a vanilla swirl. Oh God, it's so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I've never had coffee before, in all my years.
You're going to
Yeah,
Greece and you've never had coffee?
I've never had coffee. Normally people ask me, what do I drink when I get up? And I'm like, well, I drink water. Water
Wow.
or kind
Honestly, you're better for it. Don't,
of,
yeah, don't get involved with coffee. It just becomes a daily thing then that you need to have. Although as a journalist, I find it kind of funny that you don't drink coffee.
yeah,
You
no,
go
no
into any
coffee.
newsroom and people are just drinking coffee constantly, but I like a
My vice,
latte. I like an oat
my
milk latte.
vices is pineapple juice, and apple
Yeah.
juice. That's my
So good
vice.
for you. Okay.
Yeah,
They're
so
way
I love it.
worse. Way
I love
worse.
it. I feel you. I feel you on that. Also, my favorite cookie, I would say, 'cause my favorite ice cream is cookies and cream, but my favorite cookie
Yeah, it's a good one.
is gingerbread. I'm
Oh,
gingerbread.
really? Okay.
Mhm.
I also really like gingerbread. I just made a bunch of holiday cookies with my mom, and we make
Oh,
these. They're called Italian wedding cookies, and some people
mm,
call them snowballs, and they're basically like almonds and different nuts in flour,
mm,
and then you bake them, and they're real soft and crumbly, and then you just cover them with powdered sugar, and they're so good.
got
So
you.
they look like
Okay.
little snowballs. They're good with tea if you drink
Mm.
tea. I know you don't drink coffee, but if you drink tea.
I had tea for the first time last year.
Really, this is wild. Wow.
For the first time, because typically I was such a juicer. Because lemonade, I had
Mm,
like pineapple juice, apple juice, grape juice, and then I would always drink carbonated stuff as well. Because if I
mhm,
had a soda, I would drink Mountain Dew. But
mm.
I really don't. I like juice more than anything and water. But tea, cold tea was really good. They have a really good spot
Yeah,
here. They have some really good
nice.
cold tea, so I like that.
Okay, I'm gonna beg you to stop drinking Mountain Dew.
You know what? I've
It's
slowed
so
down.
bad for you.
Slowed down, Natalie.
Okay,
Really have. Now, have I cut it out? No, I can't cap on you in
okay,
here. Do that.
that's okay.
But I was
We've cut
slowed down
back.
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I definitely
okay,
cut back because
okay.
I like to in my free time I like to work out. I wanted to lose some weight
Yeah.
as well because
Mm-hmm.
I was at 265 last year. I've gotten
Mm-hmm.
down to 230.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That's not
yeah,
easy to do. Yeah, cutting out the sugar drinks will really help.
absolutely, no
Mm-hmm.
question. Do you like
Mm-hmm.
potato chips?
I love salty, so yeah, potato
Okay,
chips are always a
okay.
nice little treat.
I love it. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw four brands at you, and you get to choose one of these that you'll never eat again. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. First one is Pringles.
Uh-huh.
The, the second one is Doritos. The third one is Lay's. The last one is Ruffles. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
Doritos.
Oh, Natalie. Oh. Oh, this is the first one that this is the first question where we've had, oh Lord. This where I
Listen,
said, oh Lord.
listen, variety is the spice of life, okay?
I
We
feel it.
can't agree all the time, Chris.
I know it. I was gonna say we can't have it all. I mean, you got
We
most of
can't have it all.
everything, but we can't have it all. That's for sure. Um, okay, Doritos. Well, my favorite chip is actually Ruffles,
Oh,
but yeah,
okay.
yes, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
So
I
okay,
would say I like baked lays the most.
yeah,
You
those are
had
pretty
baked
good.
lays? I really like them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those and Pringles kind of
Um.
taste the same. So,
And I want to ask this before I get to the next question. When it comes to sandwiches, for
mhm.
me, I like to put the chips in the middle and crunch them up and eat them with the
Oh.
sandwich. Are you like that?
No, I like to have a sandwich just as is, chips on the side, and then I always like to have a pickle. Big
Okay,
fan of
so
pickles.
don't judge me. I've never had a pickle.
Really?
Yeah, I never heard
This
that
is
before.
fascinating. Okay. There's just a lot of things I'm learning. So when you come to visit, we'll have a lot of experiences to have
I'm
together
about
on the
to
food
say,
space.
yeah, maybe I need somebody like yourself to show me a good time as far as food.
Yes. Good
You know what I
Lord.
mean? So yes, no, I'm pretty, Natalie, I'm pretty plain. I'm
Yeah.
plain dude. Ketchup is good. I do like
Hmm.
tomatoes. I like lettuce. I like things. I'm not
Yeah.
super. I'm weird, but I'm not super weird when it comes to food. I do like other stuff,
Pickles
but
are a very polarizing thing. We have an entire Picklesburg event that happens every year in Pittsburgh, and it's become a huge festival, and it's everything pickles. I can't, I can't do it. It's just too much for me. But people, I'm telling you, they have like a pickle juice drinking contest. It's wild.
okay. Listen,
Yeah.
ooh, Lord have mercy. No,
Oh, I know. I can't.
hell no, no
Nope.
pickle juice. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
They
It's just
can't do it.
straight like vinegary brine. I'm like,
Right.
can't
Right.
do it. Don't want to
I
drink
feel that.
that.
I feel that. That's oh wow. Okay. Well, moving on. I want to. I love asking this next question to all journalists. If it wasn't journalism or radio or
Yeah.
media, that the career that you're in, what career path would you have chosen to do and why?
I mean, I was almost a doctor. So, I probably part of me would be like I would love to go into medicine and do that whole world because I love to help people and I'm also a very curious person and I think, research was always very interesting to me. But I was also a little ham growing up and to also be in the theater and the arts in that way, there's always been a pool there for me too. And I don't know if I gave myself enough of a fair shake in college to really pursue that because I was in a lot of plays and musicals and did a lot of that work in high school and college and absolutely loved it. And so I might have wanted to explore that more as well. So probably those two areas, which I know are not even related, but there we are.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm a huge theater buff. A lot of
There
people
you
don't
go.
know that about me. I love musicals. I
Oh,
love plays. I've
hmm,
acted in Les Miserables in high school.
that's
Uh,
so cool.
so yeah, I definitely love that. I love theater. I just appreciate people's performances on stage. So if I wasn't doing
Mhm.
journalism, that's definitely something I would have for sure.
Absolutely. That's so
Um,
cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Advice. What is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold
Mhm.
on dearly to?
Mm. My grandmother always gave me a lot of really good advice. And one of the things she used to always say was, don't borrow worry. So anything can happen, in the world, and worrying about what can happen or not can happen can just derail you mentally.
Right.
And so I've really always held on to that because I'm more of an anxious person. I'm always living in the future, which is probably why I like journalism because you're always looking for the next thing and you're living 3 weeks ahead of everyone or you're about to break a story. But I think while a lot of probably type A kids growing up have that anxiety, of always wanting to perform the what if, it's been really important to me when I start to feel that way to remind myself, don't borrow worry. That's not yours to carry, focus on the present because it really is a gift. And that usually helps ground me and takes away a lot of the concerns I have because we don't know what's going to happen. We can plan, but as you and I both know, when we've had to walk away from things, we didn't plan that. And so there's
Right.
only so much you can do to prepare yourself. Part of it has to be relying on your own instincts as well. So definitely don't borrow worry would be something I would hold on to.
I love it. I do. Can't plan for the unexpected, dear. You really
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
That's just not how you can live life. So I love
Hmm.
that advice from your grandmother, and
Yeah.
my condolences for your
Oh,
grandmother
thank
and
you.
your dad as well.
Thank you.
Now you do a radio show. I'm not sure how often you do the radio show, but you're going for 4 hours tonight. But what does a
Mhm.
typical radio show with Natalie consist of? Do you take calls in? Are you just talking? Are you playing music? Like, what kind of radio show is it, and what kind of topics do you address?
Yeah, so it's on KDKA radio. You can stream it online. It's national. It's on the radio station itself here in the city. KDKA is the oldest station in the country, so there's a huge legacy of talk radio here. So it's a talk radio station. So I don't play music. It is a talk show. A lot of the guys that I work with, they just take calls and that's all they do. Maybe they'll have a guest here or there. My show I like to produce is much more structured. I call it In Conversation With, and I like to have pretty much every segment, which I host every single week, usually 3 hours on the weekends, sometimes 4 hours. This week I'm hosting twice. I'm hosting tonight for 4 hours and then on Saturday for three. So to produce a show like that, it's very time consuming. It usually takes me about 10 hours of pre-production work to put on one show, which is
Sure.
really intense. Um, and my calls, what I like to do is have a balance because the station skews conservative. And I'm the only female voice really on air, and I'm really one of the few progressives. Well, I am the only progressive. I'm one of the few left-leaning, only progressive person on air. So what I like to do is create a show where we can have conversations about really difficult topics and look at them from a humanistic perspective. But I don't like it to just be political because that is a lot for 4 hours and anybody would feel burned out from talking that way for 4 hours. So I like to
Sure.
pepper in conversations around science, astrology, the arts, food, lifestyle, to really create a more humanistic approach to the way in which we live, with a centering always on equity and uplifting spaces and bringing voices on that are often excluded or just ignored. So that's really the goal with the show is as long as they keep letting me on the air, I'm going to just keep using the space to highlight and promote things that I think are important, um, and that are meaningful to the community in which I live and the country in which I live in.
I love that. I'm definitely gonna have to check it out for
Yeah.
sure. Maybe
You
even
have to
call
come
you.
on.
I would love that. I would love to
Yeah,
come
we'll plan it.
with that. We'll definitely will. I would
Yeah.
love to just. What's your zodiac sign?
I'm an Aries.
Okay, so I'm an Aquarius. Um,
Oh, they get
yeah,
along very well.
absolutely. No question. No question here. That's
So
for
your
sure.
birthday's coming up.
Yes, February 2nd is my
Oh,
birthday. So yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. Groundhog Day. That
Mm-hmm.
day. So, absolutely. And when is yours in March or April? Or am
April
I?
16th.
I figured that. Okay, April 16th. That's awesome. I love that. I
Yeah.
love it. Natalie, this has been a really dope conversation. I've
Oh,
just learning about you and your journey of coming into journalism, not even starting off wanting to be a journalist. First, you said doctor and kind of converted over. The fact that you made the pivot from OU, Ohio University, to Pittsburgh and be able to complete your degree and go back and get your master's and not do it the conventional way of what a journalist would do is amazing. I mean, I've been a fan of yours for quite some time with the
oh,
videos that you do, just the information that you allocate out. It's always a learning experience every time I look at your videos because I listen, I need to be educated on politics. And there's a lot of people that you can go to, but you're one of the people that I definitely go to and talk about that because you're
that
so
means a lot.
passionate about it. You're passionate about it. And I love that. So I want to be educated more about politics. I'm definitely gonna come to you. If you want to be educated more about sports, please come to me. I
Got
certainly will
you.
help you out with that. Um, as I always do, the very last question here on my Work Hard Play Harder podcast is simple. Is there anything else, Natalie, that you would like to add about yourself, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
I think I just want to remind people that the work that journalists do is, I believe, the work that upholds a functioning democracy. And so a lot of our communities are existing right now in news deserts. A lot of local spaces have had to shut down, or a lot of people that are working at local stations are wearing multiple hats and covering multiple beats. And so I encourage people to seek out quality journalism in their community first and support those spaces because that's how we hold those people in power accountable. That's how we hold corporations accountable and governments as well. And I think
Absolutely.
journalism reminds us that we, the people, are the ones with the true collective power. And when we tap into that and recognize that we all want basically the same things, right? We can use these spaces to create the world in which the many and not just the privileged few can thrive. And so I just would like to add that.
That's beautiful. I mean, well said, and no need for me to add on that. I just want to say thank you again for coming on to my podcast. You and I would definitely be in touch. I want you to enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we will talk very soon, Natalie.
Thank you. That was great.